Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered all this week's Marvel books as well as one of this week's DC books. Now it's time to wrap things up with this week's Batman books. Kicking things off, we've got Batman vs. Robin, number 1. So, Batman vs. Robin follows up on a few recent story arcs. One is the story from Batman Superman World's Finest by Mark Waid. The other being Shadow War, which was the crossover between Batman, Deathstroke Incorporated, and Robin. At the end of, I think it was issue 5 of World's Finest, it was revealed that the island that the devil Neja was imprisoned on was none other than Lazarus Island. And Damian had discovered this. So, we begin with an overview of Damian. But, anyway, Bruce goes to the manor and kind of reflecting on everything since, there's a knock at the door. Rather loud knock, no less. At the door is none other than Alfred. Seemingly back from the dead. Bruce promptly quizzes it, not in a natural manner, simply asking questions to ascertain that yes, it really is Alfred. And Alfred manages to convince Bruce to take him down to the Batcave for a full medical examination. However, when Bruce and Alfred arrive in the cave, they find Damian waiting for them. Well, waiting for Bruce. Though Damian's not alone. He's got 2 friends with him. Jakeem Thunder and Timothy Hunter. However, Damian hasn't yet seen Alfred, and so Bruce says that he can to stop takes on Damian and his allies, suiting up in the process. At one point, Jakeem taking the genie that Jakeem is safekeeper of, the Thunderbolt, takes over basically takes control of the dinosaur within the cave, and so Jakeem gets to ride the T-Rex. Batman is attacked by the various costumes on display. Alfred tries to stop everything by talking to Damian, but though Damian thinks it's a trick and tries to kill Alfred, though Batman stops him. They go down a seemingly uncharted part of the cave. And Damian shoots Batman. But he apparently recently reinforced his cape as when Damian pulled the gun on him and on Bruce and Alfred. Bruce raised his cape up like so. But he reinforced the cape, and so, yeah. But the plan is to save Damian. Something's wrong. But Damien goes to the Tower of Fate, where various goodies are currently being stored, including the Black Diamond of Eclipso. Um, I'm guessing the Sword of Athena. I don't recognize all the magical artifacts, but yeah. So, at Gotham Harbor, Batman and Alfred go over everything, figuring, well, Damien knows all of Batman's safe houses, so what he's got on him is what supplies he has. Among them is a key given to him by Zatanna, a key that would lead him to that no matter what keyhole it's placed in, would lead him to her home. However, something is very wrong. As Alfred and Batman continue to walk through, they find Zatanna hanging from the ceiling. Though she explains it's Schrodinger's noose, both alive and dead, for the moment. But someone is attacking all of the magic members magic users. Constantine and Swamp Thing are stuck in a grotesque symbiosis which will destroy them both. Jason Blood is forced mid-transformation into the demon. Zatanna is left, both alive and dead. But the magic of the key is changed up so that it will go to a different, a safe location, a safe house of Zatanna's. And turns out that Damien has freed the Devil Neja and introduced Mother Soul to him. And the Devil Neja's feet are various artifacts by the other heroes, including the Helm of Naboo. I think it's supposed to be. I think we've got Aquaman's Trident. No, it could also be it could also be Stargirl's cosmic staff, and what appears to be a lantern battery. That is where the issue ends. And it looks like I may have misinterpreted things of where the key will redirect to. That it will now redirect to the House of Secrets. Interesting start to things. I'm very interested to see where this all goes. To be fair, Damien is far from my favorite Robin. When it comes to as Robin, Tim Drake's my favorite. When it comes to characters who have been Robin, Dick Grayson. I feel like those are the two best. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Batgirls, number 10. Where we left off, the Batgirls had found their creepy neighbor, who they suspected of being being a serial killer, grotesquely murdered. So while Grace Halloran is doing her podcast, man is listening and taking notes, and has an eyeball in a jar. Watching the man take notes is Killer Moth, though he's more interested in the lamp on dude's desk. The next day, Cass and Stephanie go to the library and to try in the hopes of cracking the cipher. Babs sets up a meeting with Commissioner Montoya, the Batgirls run into Killer Moth, and, well, he manages to elude them. And they end up also falling into a fish market. Babs meets with Renee, and if Renault is trying to say, hey, look, how about you? I'm not saying work with Batman, but work with the Batgirls. And Renee's like, nah, I'm not said that. I'm not going down that same path that Gordon went down. And so after that, Babs goes to visit Dick Grayson in Bloodhaven. Staying the night with him. Babs shows up the next morning. But they figured out the book that the cipher's from. It's it's by Poe. But old friend of Babs' former roommate Alicia shows up with Boba for her and Babs, and they catch up, and apparently Alicia is bartending, and Grace Halloran comes in is a regular at the bar Alicia works at. With Oracle suggesting perhaps maybe she could get Alicia could get an anonymous message to Grace from the Batgirls. The Telltale Heart is the story that is from. Meanwhile, but thinking about everything, Babs starts to think that perhaps the Riddler is involved, because ciphers, codes, riddles, that all of those are kind of within Enigma's purview. However, we find our dastardly criminal is none other than a man called himself Mr. Fun, who does bear a resemblance to Edward Nygma. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting. Batgirls has honestly been a whole hell of a lot of fun. It's mainly the character interactions and the types of characters present in the book. It's the way they kind of, yeah. Moving on to our next book, we've got I Am Batman number 13. It has been a year, hasn't it? Wow. Where we left off, Batman was working. Jace Fox was reluctantly working with the Question. Meanwhile, Renee Montoya was being courted for the now open police commissioner job in New York, and Jason's sister Tiffany had managed to somewhat seemingly make a friend at the rehab center. So Jason, the Question, talk about things, but Jace voices the thought that it seems like every question that is asked of him by the Question is really just, no matter how the question's worded, it's more about getting to learn about him. Tiffany's friend seems that she used to be in a gang, and someone she knows from said gang is trying to bring her back into it. Tiffany wants to help her, but get out of the life, but yeah, kind of you can try, but she has to want to help herself. Uh, we learn more about Hadia's past. Uh, Renee Montoya meets with Detective Keenan, who kind of implies that he and some of the other cops on the NYPD may have been involved in the dead counter protesters that Jace found early on during Fear State. Tiffany approaches her friend, but yet she gets pushed away, and she takes out her frustration on a punching bag. Uh, Batman in the question, worked together more, and with the question explained that she talked to Keenan. Definitely not the type but so Batman calls Detective Keenan, and they meet. Though a few members of the squad, or Keenan brings a few members of the squad with him, all with rifles trained at the site, and the idea being they'll kill Batman. However, when the signal is given, they don't do anything. And so, Question takes down Keenan. Tiffany talks to the gang member, and then suits up and goes out to deal with said gang herself. And that is where the issue ends. It's definitely getting interesting. And I'm noticing some similarities when it comes to with John Ridley writing both this and I Am Batman and Black Panther. It's easy to see some similarities, namely with the Range Wars arc from Black Panther. There being some very on the nose things. At the same time, yeah. And you know what? Hey, that's fine. I said the same thing with Black Panther. That's fine. You know, subtlety is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes, you know, you kind of have to look at subtlety and say, hey, that hasn't really done much good. So, maybe you know, being blatant will get the point across. Moving on to our next book, we've got Batman Urban Legends number 19. So we have a couple of continuations. We've got Signal and the Outsiders and Pennyworth Files. So, Signal and the Outsiders. The Signal has, Batman has asked the Outsiders' help in finding Signal's mother. And they're all working on it, and Signal realizes that, yeah, they were right. He is too close to it, so. But apparently, one of the hospitals has, anytime someone is brought in from either a Scarecrow or Joker gas attack, they're some of them just disappear. So they get a patient in. They get Metamorpho to go in, and but their patient is to be sent to the Rose Creek Rehab Clinic. And so the Dr. Alan March leaves a message for his daughter, the widow of Dr. Kirk Langstrom. And meanwhile, Metamorpho is in the clinic trying to find the records room. He finds Dr. March, who it turns out has been experimenting with his late son-in-law's serum. So the rest of the outsiders attack the place, the clinic, and some of the patients, including Signal's mother, had their collars are activated. Basically, they're wearing collars which all seem to have small injector needles on the inside of them. But they managed to take down the doc and also cure all of the people being held in the rehab clinic. Duke introduces his mother to the outsiders, and she seems rather smitten with Jefferson Pierce, and she learns that he is a superhero. That is where our story ends. Next up, we've got Tiny Hands in the Dark, featuring Batman. Batman's investigating a series of crimes. Witnesses reporting a pair of tiny white hands. Doing additional digging. It turns out to be another puppet of the ventriloquist, but it seems that the puppet may have gotten away. Next up, we've got Batman and Two-Face in Call It. So it begins with a flat. It's basically Batman reminiscing about Two-Face. Who he's apparently told Bruce in one of his, as he puts it, sober moments, that he hated flipping the coin. Because it took out all flipping the coin narrowed everything down to yes, no, right or wrong, black and white, no nuance. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next story, we've got the Pennyworth Files. Where we left off, Alfred Pennyworth had ended up starting his own investigation into some crimes he himself had witnessed that would likely have gone no one would have done anything about. So this included dealing with a group of fishmongers from I guess one might say Gotham's own Little Russia or whatever. But seems to be a fish creature watching him. But Alfred gets some information from one of the fishmongers that the emeralds that they've all been grabbing are not they're not emeralds. They're scales from the head of Dagon. And her great-grandfather, when commercial whaling was outlawed, did some research on everything. And, yeah. So, Alfred uses Bruce Wayne's connections to try and find find the emeralds on an above-board manner, with little luck. He also is occasionally calling Batman for assistance, but he has one of those moments of seeing the right thing at the right moment to keep him going, which is where that part of the story ends. So this for our next story, Leatherbound. Batman's called in a wealthy donor to the Gotham's mayor. Apparently has some illegal exotic animals, a Komodo dragon, a crocodile. But the Komodo dragon has been killed, and it seems that also the crocodile's been attacked. But as Batman begins his investigation, he himself is attacked. Croc gets involved, but there's a basically people who were working on procuring there were people who were working on procuring the animals, and they are behind the whole thing. One of them has tried out has become a little bit more than normal, and Batman takes him on, and dude gets his legs and one of his arms bitten off. And that is where the issue ends. As always, I dig urban legends. We always get something interesting out of them. The Alfred story is a definite standout. Which brings us to our last one for the week. Future State Gotham number 17. Where we left off, Batman's everywhere. Hush was impersonating Batman in an effort to control Damian, who had returned from hell. Bruce and Talia were also were trying to find Damian as well. Nightwing was convinced only he can save Gotham thanks to taking some a drug called Brain, which gave him psychic abilities. And Jace was just trying to, keep everything, try to, figure this stuff out. But Babs has tracked down Dick, runs into Jason, and yeah. But she watches the various Batmans fighting each other. Since she has Bruce's biometrics on file, she's able to ascertain that yes, that is actually Bruce. And so Jason sides with him. And so they all, to a point, they're all working with. They all go up against Hush and Damian, though. Afterwards, Dick takes Bruce and Jason's hoods and crushes them telekinetically in an effort to keep them out of his way. The plan becomes they need to separate Damian from Hush. And meanwhile, Damian is, Hush is further manipulating Damian, but has brought him. However, Hush has said just enough to make Damian realize that, this isn't his father. Also, they're on the Court of Owls turf. As Hush intends to kill Damian in front of the rest of the Bat family. But, however, Hush decides to do one better, pulling a gun and shooting Bruce. However, their soul has Damien has changed his mind, and there appears to be another entity riding along inside of him. The soul of Joe Chill. And that is where the issue ends. This actually does get more and more interesting. And usually I'd say something, oh, I wish we were to see the rest of the DC universe in future state, but I'm kind of okay with how things are because there's so much going on just with Gotham. So, yeah. Anyway, that is going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.